Hi everyone, it's Jessica Dibzinski. Thanks for coming by my channel today. It is Mystery Envelope Challenge time with my friends in the Makers with Heart group. And this month our friend Dawn sent out the envelope and the rules. So it looks like she sent us a couple of pieces of pattern paper from the Christmas Story collection from Close to My Heart, a couple of gold glitter gems, and a strip of gold shimmer trim. And in her rules, she said we can use white, black, and kind of like those sorts of neutrals as much as we want. We can use any stamp sets we want. But one of the rules she said is that we have to create our own pattern paper with some stamps. So I pulled some French vanilla cardstock and I'm going to do my own stamps here. So I pulled some old background stamps that I had in my stash and I thought I would create something with that. And then I was thinking maybe those Christmas trees on that little Winter Friends stamp set as well. So I have already gone ahead and matted my photo here. This is just a picture of my daughter that her third grade teacher took down in the school library, posed in front of their school Christmas tree that I thought was really cute. And so I have just the one photo, and I was thinking I would take this one piece of pattern paper and cut it in half to make a strip that would go all the way across the page. I also think I'm going to cut my other papers into some triangles, and so I did a little test run here with a scratch piece of paper, some like old printer paper, and I figured out that on this 4x6 piece of paper that Dawn has sent, this is what I can get if I cut it into triangles. I'll get 2 end pieces and then 5 actual triangles. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I was inspired by a layout that I saw on Pinterest, so I will leave that linked in the description box down below. All right, let's go ahead and start creating some of those triangles. So like I said, I wanted to use one of the pattern papers as a strip across the top. Since these are 4x6, I'm going to have to join them in the middle and just hope that nobody really notices that seam, which in the end, I don't think it's very noticeable. And then for these other ones, I'm going to cut them into those triangles that I showed you. So I'm just lining everything up on my Versamat here. It makes it really easy to grab a pencil and mark off where I need to cut this. So basically across the bottom, I am marking it in 2-inch increments. And then at the top, I'm going to come in at the 1 inch, skip 2, so then I'll hit at the 3, and then again, 1 inch over from the right side. And then if I use my ruler and draw lines from point to point, I will get those 2 little slivers on the end and then 5 triangles in the middle. And I am going to create my own pattern paper stamping on that French vanilla, but I thought it might be easier to do once I had cut the triangles, just because the area would be a little bit smaller and I wouldn't have to worry so much about lining up my stamp, and then maybe it would just be a little bit easier to create that background myself. So I'm going to do this to all the papers and cut them first before I make my background. All right, so that worked out. And then actually on the other papers, I just made my little pencil marks. I didn't even draw the lines because I was able to line it up with just those marks in my trimmer. Okay, now when I go through my trimmer, I made sure to bring the blade at the paper from the side that wasn't the corner. I hope that makes sense. You can see how I'm coming from the top and then from the bottom. I found that if I ran my blade at it, coming at where the top corner would be, then it kind of scrunched the paper a little bit. But if I came at it in the other direction where I was really just cutting between 2 parts of the paper, then it cut much nicer until I get to this end piece here. And then I really have no choice. It's just corner to corner. So what I do here is I come down in the middle of my paper and kind of push down with my blade to get things started. And then I go up and back down. So that's just a little trick for you, so you're not scrunching up those corners with your blade. Okay, and so now this is what it looks like. I did take some ink pads and edge distress all of those in their coordinating colors. And now I need to do a little something to those French vanilla triangles because, like I said, Dawn's rule was that we had to have some stamped patterns, create our own pattern background paper with a stamp. So I really was digging deep on this one. This stamp set, I believe, came with one of my Cricut cartridges from Close to My Heart, like a long time ago. And they're really beautiful background stamps, but I don't really reach for them that often. So it was definitely fun to do a little digging in my stash and get some use out of this. So I picked this one because it just has this leaf pattern on it, and I thought it would be pretty stamped in pine, which is the color of the cardstock that she sent. And then I'm going to just stamp it twice to cover the entire triangle. You can see what I mean by cutting it first. It made it a lot easier to get all that area and not have to line everything up quite as much. All right, and then I will do the same thing to these pieces, hitting the edges with my ink pad to edge distress them in that same pine colored ink. Okay, I've gone ahead and taken a piece of French vanilla cardstock, and I cut it down just a little bit, and then I matted it on a piece of black cardstock. I did gut out the center of that black cardstock off camera just to save a little bit of it. And then this is the basic idea here. I'm just going to kind of lay it out for you and show you what I'm thinking. I will not adhere this down on camera. I will save you that because it was definitely tedious trying to get everything on straight, even with my ruler and my Versamat, and to keep the distance between each triangle even all the way through. And I glued everything down, pulled it back up, glued it down, pulled it back up. I fussed with it quite a bit. And in the end, I do have some of my triangles end up closer together than others, but it's just going to be what it is. So it really was quite a fussy thing. I'm not sure if you're trying to do a quick layout, then this would not be a thing to follow. But it took a little bit of fussing, but I thought it looked really cool in the end. Okay, so before gluing anything down, this is about what I'm thinking here. I want to have my photo coming up into that red strip, and I want to make sure that I'm seeing some of that black pattern paper because it was my favorite. So I'm trying not to cover it up too much in that top row of triangles. So you can see what I mean. The ones to the left have a smaller margin between them, and the ones over to the right have a bigger margin in between. It was really quite the ordeal, but it is what it is. All right, so I think instead I'm going to stretch those two red pieces all the way across to the very edge of my page. At first I thought I was just going to have them inside that French vanilla part, but I do end up going all the way to the edge of the page. And then Dawn did send this strip of Gold Shimmer Trim. She said we were welcome to use more if we wanted, and I did think about pulling mine out, but I thought, no, you know what, I just want a little bit of it peeking out. So I'm going to go ahead and be thrifty here, and I taped it into my paper trimmer and I just cut it in half. And so now I can use just that same 6-inch strip but get it all the way across my 12-inch page because I really only want a little bit peeking out from underneath those red papers. And here's where I decide I want to scoot it down a little bit, and I think I want to have a little bit more of that white space up at the top of my page. So I just used my Versamat and T-square ruler to get that shimmer trim down first in a straight line across the page, and then I will put my red pieces down over top of it. So that's the plan here. I like that. I really wish that I would have had some more red triangles going on down in the bottom part, but I just couldn't do it with the papers that I had been sent. And I thought about it would have been nice to stamp my own pattern paper in that scarlet color and create my own, but my scarlet ink pad is on its way. I don't have it here at my house just yet, so I had to make do with what I had. All right, this was a cut that I did on my Cricut, and I just cut out the word Christmas 3 times, I think, in French vanilla cardstock, and then I glued it all together. And then in the photo, there's this like weird little spot up in the top corner that had like the security camera on it, and it just looked really like goofy. And so I thought I would take this black circle and kind of cover up the corner of that photo so it's more about my daughter and the tree. And then I did end up using that Winter Friends stamp set, and there's a bear sitting underneath the Christmas tree, so I thought it would be fun to do the bear from that stamp set. And I just used a little bit of the scraps that I had left over from some of the triangles I didn't use to cut out his scarf, and then the stamp has like a little detail that you can put over the scarf. So I just stamped him in pine over top of the extra pine cardstock. And same thing, I used a little die cut in one of my leftover triangles to get that little banner piece that I'm going to put over the bottom of him. And I think what I'm going to do is just put I don't really need any journaling for this page because it's just a picture that her 3rd grade teacher sent home. as like a little something for parents. So there's not really a story to go with it. So I thought I'd just kind of do the date and, you know, something like that on that little banner. And I did use some thin 3D foam tape on my bear, and then on the banner I'm putting regular foam tape, and then I'm just putting a little bit of glue at the top because that's the part that's going to sit over top of the bear. So that's why I've got it on there half and half like that, and that way the banner is up just a little bit higher than the bear himself. And I kind of fussed a little bit trying to get that on centered from side to side. I don't even think in the end it ended up centered side to side, but I tried. I moved it around a little bit, but in the end I was like, okay, just stick it down and leave it where it is. It'll be fine. Okay. All right, so we got that part done. And now, really, I just kind of had to finish my title and do a little bit of embellishing. I left this page actually rather, it feels kind of plain to me, but there's a lot going on with those triangles, and so I thought that that would be fine. So I'm just going to add a little bit of stamping here. I am using my archival black ink because it's a really nice dark black color. And I'm using the Farmhouse Alphabet stamp set to stamp out the word Merry up above Christmas in that white portion. I did cut that part out just because I had to put my head over top of the page to really make sure I was getting my letters down straight, and you didn't really want to look at the back of my head. And then as I was about to put my stamp set away, I saw that there's this little leaf thing on the stamp set, and I thought, you know, that would be kind of fun to do on either side of the word Merry. There are two of them so that each of those little branches go in opposite directions. So I just used both of them to add a little green detail on either side of my word Merry. And I was really kind of nervous because at this point I'm like stamping onto the layout, you know, and I'm like, I really hope this turns out and looks cute, but I think it does. All right, and then I have those gold glitter gems that Dawn had sent. She gave us 3 of them. I believe we had 1 big one and 2 small ones. And she did say, similar to the shimmer trim, that if we wanted to use more, we were welcome to do that. I think I cut it out of the video, but I did pull out my gold glitter gems and I tried adding some to the bottom, but then they ended up looking a little weird. So I pulled them back off, and I'm just going to stick with these 3 that she sent us. And like I said, it's kind of a simple and plain layout, but the triangles I think really just sort of dress it up. And I kind of walked away for a little while and was thinking about it, like, I don't know, I feel like it needs something more, but maybe I leave it be. And that's when I got the idea to pull out these gold pens. So these are new to me. I actually just got them not long ago, and I'm really excited to show you guys some really cool things I have learned and ways that you can use them. But I'm going to use the fine point pen to just go around and draw some faux stitching lines all the way around the edge of that French vanilla paper. And I think that that's just the final little touch that this page needed. You can see here, if I turn it, it catches the light, and I think it really complements the gold glitter gems and that strip of gold shimmer trim up at the top by the title as well. That's it. I'm going to call it done. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. The Mystery Envelope Challenge is one of my favorite things that I do with my crafty friends in the Makers with Heart group. And each month we take turns sending out the envelope with all the different parts and pieces in it and setting the rules. And so thank you, Dawn, for this wonderful envelope. I had a lot of fun. It's definitely helping me get into the Christmas spirit and making me think about my Christmas cards as well. So I will leave links down below so you can see what everybody else created with the same parts and pieces from their envelopes. And again, thank you so much for coming by and watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day. Happy crafting. Bye.